Well, last night was a special night for James Brown, as well as a special night for rock and roll, because Rolling Stone's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was formed, and the guest seated with me right now, James Brown, was one of the 10 original members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let me introduce him by way of what was written here in Rolling Stone by Kurt Loder. The career of James Brown, whose impact on the structure of modern music has surpassed even that of Elvis Presley. The gospel and doo-wop drenched records he cut for Federal and King labels through the early 60s, like I'll Go Crazy, Think, and This Old Heart, are flat-out rock and roll. His vocal style at that time prefigured the soul music that evolved in the later 60s. His formidable powers as a stage performer set standards for pacing, endurance, and ensemble cohesion that have yet to be bettered. When Bruce Springsteen, at the end of a long set, comes charging back to the microphone, it's the boss paying tribute to the master. Then, in 1964, with Out of Sight, James Brown began reassembling traditional R&B rhythms into a whole new thing. And he set the course in 1964 that black popular music and white dance bop would take for the next 20 years, following such heirs to funk as Sly Stone and Prince, right? And then he can also be paid tribute for helping the rising tide of black consciousness with Say It Loud, I'm Black, I'm Proud, turning his streetwise eye to social interests like King Heroin and Don't Be a Dropout. And along the way, with such sides as Brother Rap, he laid the base for the rap music movement of the 80s. Mr. James Brown. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. James, I'm really proud to have you with us on Midday. I guess the first thing I want to ask, you've always had this sense of vision going back into the 50s. You sit here in 1986. Do you see anything new in the future? You have a sense?
I was surprised when I walked out the gospel song. I wanted to sing it, but I just didn't want to infringe on something that sounds so good.
Oh, I understand.
I just want to listen to it, you know. It really sounded good to me because I used to sing gospel a lot.
You love gospel.
And also, it's a funny thing about it. Last night I received the honors, you know, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I came in on the end of that era of singing rock and roll. I really didn't get a chance to sing, but maybe one or two songs. I guess probably class as rock and roll, but the people that paid tribute to it, I was very proud to be a part of that era, because my singing came from gospel and jazz, which we call soul music, and I had a chance to do a lot of good things and bring a lot of people together, conscious of the Afro-Americans and people around the world during the 60s, which I hope we will never have to go back to. Absolutely. Watching television, the things that I see on television, hopefully we'll surpass those kind of things and we can go on to bigger and better things where people don't have to be color, but just judged by the conscience of the character, like Dr. King said. Well, that's the thing that makes me feel good, you know, because I think that I'm sure that this world now, that we're all God's children, and we want to be judged what we're doing just as a human being.
I want to ask you a musical question, James. In 1964, when you did that album, Out of Sight, and as Rolling Stone says, set the standards for the next 20 years, what were you drawing on? What kind of resources were you drawing on then that really led to the formation of what we now very blithely call funk? Where did it come from?
Well, it's first thing, God. One thing that I was always able to look and see what everybody else was doing. I think we had the British invasion at that time. We had Motown, and I had to go right down the middle. So we came up with a tune called Papa's Bag in 1965, which changed all music in the world. Today, all music is actually from that type.
I'm always curious about, I've interviewed a lot of lyricists and composers and poets and stage writers.
We have over 2,000 songs that
I know you have. How do you work, James? Do you need to be in the studio and work with the musicians? How do you actually write a song?
Well, I don't know. I get that message from the spirit, and I just kind of go with what I feel. I've never taken formal lessons.
Right.
But you don't really have to. I lived it all my life. I've seen things go down, unfair justices and things, and I've also seen things that made me happy. But I try to relate to people. If people are not involved, then I figure we're not doing anything. And to see everybody involved, what they're doing this morning, makes me feel very, very good, because when people are involved, regardless of what you're doing, in music, it's always good to hear. Gospel, jazz, rock, soul, whatever.
If it moves you.
It's music. Yeah. It's people and soothing to the soul.
Now, James, you are now called the Godfather of Soul at one point, and maybe still you're called Soul Brother #1. At one point, the hardest working man in show business.
I think it all amounts to the fact that I'm trying to do a good job, and I appreciate and show my appreciation, which we'll be doing at Radio City Music Hall.
That's right. This Wednesday night, a big James Brown show. This is the whole red carpet laid out. First, Evelyn Champagne King as an opening act, and then James Brown and this thunderous review.
Well, you know, one thing I'd like to mention, I think a lot of people don't know, right now, fortunately, we was in Paris about a year and a half ago. We drew 1,003,000 people, the biggest crowd to attend a show in history.
Where was that show?
It's about 26 miles from Paris, France. But it was the biggest show that had ever been.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
How did it feel looking at it? I mean, you couldn't almost.
Well, we couldn't see them. We could see about 400,000 people, but we couldn't see 1,003,000.
When you
people.
feel that much coming back at you.
Well, I just feel that you got to do more. We sang everything we knew. We sang Please, Please, Papa's Bag is a Man's World. We sang Bewildered. We sang I'll Go Crazy. It's everything you could do. And,
you let it all out.
And made sure and everybody was there. We just entertained the people, and we enjoyed doing what we're doing.
I always had a couple questions I want to ask you, because I've seen a lot of your concerts. Where did the idea for the capes come from? I love that, where they put those capes. But whoever thought that up? I got an idea. Let's put capes on them at the end of the show. Where does that come from?
That was the spirit of the thing that I used to do when we was singing gospel. We'd get happy, and so I was singing Please, Please, and I think kind of carried over. We had Bobby Bland, we had Wilson Pickett, we had Sherrills, and a lot of people on the show at that time, and we just got happy, and we started putting more into it, and I kept coming back, and it became a tradition.
All right, how about the other thing? How many of you have seen James when he does the fainting and reviving routine, right? I love that. Where did you get the idea for that?
That's spirit. We used to do that in church. People faint there. It's a tradition of what the struggles and the things that we had to go through years ago, and we try to recreate that moment. When I go on the stage, I forget about the fact that I'm successful and I've been able to do a lot of things that most people haven't got a chance to do. I just try to relive that, because you forget about what you accomplished, but the fact that you have accomplished it, and you want to show that you're still not too big to do that. You know?
Absolutely. And every show is a new show. Every show is a new audience. One thing, then we're going to go to our audience for questions. If you are the Godfather of Soul, seriously, who is the Godmother of Soul?
Well, they say Aretha Franklin.
I don't want to get into the whole family. Who is the second cousin of Soul?
I guess I'd have to argue with my wife. I think my wife would be good.
All right, that's cool. All right, we have an audience that came down because we asked them to see you, and I'm really happy they could be here. First at the mic. Hi, what's your name, sir?
My name is Gordon Gaines.
Yeah, Gordon, what's your question for James?
Yeah, I'd like to know, Dan Hartman wrote Living in America.
Yeah.
I would like to know if he wrote that tailor-made for you, or did he have the song just lying around, or how
It was wrote tailor-made for me, but actually it came to me much straighter than the way I sang it. I mean, you know, I had to do actually, my own thing.
Right. And how did you get such a big spot in Rocky? I mean,
well,
it's not...
I was very fortunate come from the Blues Brothers and Dr. Detroit. A good friend of mine, Richard Dostell, he knew the people that were cast in Rocky, and Stallone wanted James Brown, and he said he always wanted to have me in his show, and so he said, if he thought the Blues Brothers and Dr. Detroit was something, you got to catch the share. And I think he directed and did a fantastic job.
All right, good. Next up to the mic. Yeah.
My name is Dee Dee Douglas, and I'm glad to say that I'm very happy to see that you really have made it, and people all over the world know about you. Now, I want to ask you, do you remember back in the 50s in Tallahassee or either Georgia, when you used to be on the dance floor dancing with us, and you know, just going around dancing?
Right.
You remember that?
Florida A&M,
I was right there.
Yes. Oh, God bless you.
That's great.
Thank you. I love you for that. Thank you.
All right, there's another young fellow up at the mic. Hi, what's your name, buddy?
How you doing? My name is Toccoa Wells.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say congratulations first on all your success and your continued success. I got a two-part question. First, a lot of people have been talking about the people who James Brown has influenced, namely Prince, Parliament,
Michael. Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger.
David Boy. But one thing about it, you know, when you, somebody that everybody, you know, admire and feel that your dancing and your singing you're very unique, and I was like 20 years ahead of my time, thank God for that. Everybody wants a little piece of you.
Well, what I wanted to ask you was, who were some of your influences?
Louis Jordan, people that you don't know about, but Louis Jordan and Timpani 5 and Roy Brown, they were very instrumental in me getting a lot of my moves and thoughts from.
And the second part of the question is, what happened to the King label?
Well, the King label got so powerful that a conglomerate out of Europe wanted to buy it, which owns a lot of things, Deutsche Grammophon and Philip Siemens. They wanted to get into the music world, and they came in on a name called Polydor. And they used James Brown to get into the market, and it added to me being a world act. Thank God today I'm one of the few people that can play any place in the world and don't have to change my name or my dialogue. Just be James Brown.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Hi.
Hi, how you doing, James?
How you feel?
Okay. What I want to ask you is... one night I seen you on television, right? And you was getting into your act, real, you know, it was real intense.
Yeah.
And you went down and you split, and I said to myself, oh man, James ain't gonna be able to get back up. So what I want to know is, how do you keep yourself in shape and keep your, you know, up in your act and, you know, be able to do it every night?
It reminds me of the show that Al Green and Patti LaBelle had, Your Arms Are Too Short to Box with God. God can give that energy. Yeah. And you can do anything that you want to if you believe and have faith and trust in God.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You know, we had one young fellow in the audience wanted me to ask you a question, and that was basically on how you got started. I know the legend has it you come from a very poor background, that you were doing a little boxing, playing a little baseball, and you got an injury.
Yes.
How did you make that transfer into music?
Well, I didn't get a chance to get a formal education, and I knew I had to do something that would last a long time. So I went into singing, and I was able to inspire people like Reverend Alice Sharpton, with the National Youth Movement, and people around the world that believe in me, and I just continue doing it because people feel that James Brown has been a positive image and a positive source, and being dynamic and being someone that loves people.
In the very beginning, when you first started doing it, was it a totally natural thing, or did you actually have to set out and practice certain things? Did you stand in front of a mirror and work on moves?
I had a chance to play professional baseball and some professional fighting, and I just was very physically in shape, and I stayed at it, and I stayed with it.
Well, I think this has been a great day for us on Midday, and last night seeing you put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with 9 other great artists.
I think by me being able to come in at the end of the rock and roll era and start a new era, which is the third world music, Papa's Bag, Lost Someone, Please Please, It's a Man's World, and things like that, Doing It to Death, and the music that I've created where the rhythm is up front other than the horns is a lot different. Today, 80% of the music is James Brown.
James, it's great to have you with us. Radio City Music Hall Wednesday night, and a very important thing to remember here is that some of the proceeds from Wednesday night's show will be going to a concern of James' lifelong concern. Last time he was here, we talked about it. Every time he will ever be here, we will talk about his burning desire to let people know to stay in school, get a good education. So some of the proceeds from Wednesday night go to the scholarship fund. James, thank you very much. Mr. James Brown.